9-year-old girl begs as stepmother beats her. Then father rushed in and shouted, "Please, please stop. I didn't mean to," she cried, her small hands covering her face as a sharp slap landed across her cheek. The sting burned, tears rolling freely down her face. "I'm sorry. I'll do better. I promise." Her stepmother's eyes blazed with fury. "Better? Better? You've ruined everything again. How many times must I tell you to follow the rules?" She swung her hand again, and the girl shrieked, stumbling backward into a chair. The polished floor glinted under the harsh lights, but it offered no comfort, only reflected her sobbing face back at her like a cruel twin. I'll clean it. I'll do it right. Just don't hit me," the girl begged, her voice breaking. Her small body shook as she pressed herself against the corner of the room, trying to make herself invisible. The stepmother's hands were trembling now, partly with anger, partly with frustration at her own inability to control the house as she wished. "Invisible? You think hiding will save you? You're mine to discipline until you learn respect." She raised a slipper and swung it again. Suddenly, a booming voice echoed through the house, cutting through the tension like a thunderclap. "Enough!" The girl froze, the slipper paused midair. The door burst open, and her father strode in, his eyes wide with shock and anger. "What is going on here?" His voice carried authority that made the girl flinch with relief. The stepmother's hand dropped, but her face twisted with fury. "He's been careless, father. She what?" he shouted, stepping closer, fists clenched. His gaze softened only when it landed on his daughter, huddled and trembling. "She's just a child. How dare you raise your hand to her?" Tears blurred the girl's vision as she crawled into his arms. "Daddy, she was hurting me," she whispered. The father held her tightly, rocking her gently. The harsh, cold reality of the moment hit him. How long had he ignored the silent suffering? How blind had he been to the cruelty that masked itself behind elegance and wealth? The stepmother stepped back, her composure cracking for the first time. I was only trying to teach her." "You call this teaching?" he barked, his voice steady, unwavering. "This is abuse. You will not lay a hand on her again. Do you hear me?" His gaze was like steel, and for the first time, the stepmother faltered, realizing her power in this room had limits. The girl clung to her father, her sobs softening. "I was so scared, Daddy," she whispered. He stroked her hair, whispering back, "It's okay now. I'm here. I'll protect you." The stepmother's fury simmered silently, the room heavy with tension. She turned on her heel and left without another word, but the father and daughter remained, wrapped in each other's arms. In that moment, the house no longer felt cold or frightening. For the first time in weeks, she felt safe. "Daddy, will she ever stop being angry at me?" the girl asked softly. He hugged her tighter, his resolve firm. "She won't hurt you again. Not while I'm here. You are my daughter. Always remember that." The girl buried her face in his chest, trembling but comforted. The house was silent except for her soft sobs and his steady heartbeat. Outside, the city continued its restless hum. But inside this room, for now, love and protection had reclaimed the space. The girl's sobs slowly quieted as her father held her tightly, whispering soothing words that felt like a shield against the storm she had just endured. She felt the tremors in her small body subside a little, but the memory of the blows and harsh words still burned in her mind. She buried her face deeper into his chest, wishing the moment had never happened. Her father's eyes, dark and stormy with anger moments ago, softened as he looked down at her. "I can't believe I didn't see this sooner," he murmured. his voice laced with guilt. "How long have you been suffering like this, my little one?" The girl shook her head, clutching his shirt. I didn't want to upset you," she said. "She said if I told, things would get worse. I was scared, Daddy." Her voice cracked, and the tears came back, smaller now but relentless. "I just wanted to be good. I just wanted you to like me." He kissed the top of her head, feeling a pang of shame he couldn't ignore. "Oh, my baby, I've been so blind. You've been so brave all this time. I promise, I will never let her hurt you again." The girl peeked up at him, eyes wide, searching for a sign that this promise was real. "But will she ever forgive me? I didn't mean to make her angry." He shook his head firmly. "This isn't about forgiveness. What she did was wrong. You didn't deserve any of it. None of it." A sudden movement drew their attention. The stepmother stood near the doorway, arms crossed, lips pressed into a thin line. Her carefully styled hair caught the light as she tilted her head, assessing the scene like a predator evaluating prey. "You overreacted," she said, her tone icy but controlled. "It was just discipline. She needs to learn respect." His gaze snapped to her, steel hard. "Discipline? Hitting a 9-year-old and terrorizing her for minor mistakes is not discipline. You will never raise a hand to her again in this house. Do you understand me?" Her eyes flickered with defiance for a moment, but she quickly masked it with a practiced calm. "If you insist," she said quietly, her voice smooth but dangerous. "But don't think this ends here." He didn't respond, turning back to his daughter. "Come with me. Let's go somewhere safe." He lifted her effortlessly, her tiny arms looping around his neck, and carried her down the long hall to the guest suite at the far end of the house. Inside the room, he set her down on the plush sofa, brushing her hair back from her tear-streaked face. The soft cushions, the warm light, the quiet hum of the air conditioner. It all felt like a small sanctuary compared to the tension she had just endured. "You're safe here," he said. "No one will hurt you. Not anymore." The girl leaned into him again, words failing her. Instead, she clutched his arm tightly, afraid to let go. For the first time in weeks, she felt a flicker of peace. He sat beside her, his hands holding hers. "We need to talk about what happened so I understand everything. I need you to tell me the truth, no matter how scary it feels." She swallowed hard. It's everything, Daddy." She yells at me for the smallest things, sometimes for nothing at all. And when I make mistakes, even tiny ones, she hits me. I'm scared all the time. I try to be perfect, but I can't. And then she says I'm disrespectful. I didn't mean to. Her words trailed off, drowned by tears. He held her closer. "You never have to be perfect. You're my daughter. I love you no matter what. And what she's doing, it's not right. Not ever." For a long moment, they sat in silence, the girl's head resting on his shoulder. Outside the suite, the quiet mansion seemed almost still, but he knew the tension had only shifted, not disappeared. The stepmother's simmering anger would not vanish overnight. After a while, he spoke again. "Tomorrow we will face her together. I won't let her intimidate you anymore. And you need to see that you are not alone in this." The girl looked up at him, hope mingling with lingering fear. Will she ever leave me alone?" He smiled gently, brushing her hair from her forehead. "I will make sure she has no power over you. You are stronger than she is, even if you don't see it yet. And I will be here always." As the night stretched on, they talked quietly. He asked about school, friends, and her little victories, trying to remind her of her worth. Each story, each small laugh, became a thread weaving back the fragile fabric of her trust. The mansion, with all its luxury, had never felt more like a home. Not because of the wealth, but because they were together. Yet, somewhere deep in the house, a shadow of anger lingered. The stepmother's quiet plotting hinted that the struggle wasn't over. But in that moment, father and daughter shared a bond stronger than fear, stronger than intimidation, stronger than the walls around them. The girl finally drifted into a restless sleep, her tiny body curling against him. Her father watched her, feeling both guilt and fierce determination. He would fight for her, protect her, and ensure she knew her worth. No amount of wealth or influence could justify cruelty, and he would see that justice prevailed in his own home. For the first time since the blows, she slept without fear, though the echoes of the day would linger for weeks to come. He stayed beside her, a silent guardian, vowing to make the house a place where she could finally be a child again. The next morning, the mansion hummed with the usual buzz of staff and cars arriving at the driveway, but inside, the tension was thick. The father had spent a sleepless night pacing the guest suite, rehearsing what he would say to the stepmother. Every fiber of him burned with the memory of yesterday's scene, the pleading eyes of his daughter, the fear etched on her small face. Finally, he found her in the living room, sipping her morning coffee, perfectly composed as always, the picture of calm elegance. But he saw past the mask. He could feel the simmering anger behind her eyes, the quiet threat lurking in every measured breath. "She's awake," he said sharply, stepping into the room. His daughter followed silently, her small hand clutching his sleeve. He didn't let go. The stepmother looked up, her lips curling into a sly, almost condescending smile. "Good morning," she said smoothly, as if nothing had happened. "I hope everyone is ready for a new day." He didn't answer. Instead, he strode closer, eyes locked on hers. "Sit down," he commanded, his voice low but firm. She stiffened, then obeyed, sensing for the first time that the dynamic had shifted. He gestured for the girl to stay behind him. "This is important," he said quietly, his hand brushing against hers. "Listen carefully." The stepmother's composure cracked slightly, the faintest twitch in her jaw betraying the tension beneath her polished exterior. "Important? About what?" she asked, her tone sharp but controlled. "About yesterday," he said evenly. "I saw what you did. I heard her cries, and I will not tolerate it. Not in this house, not in this family. Do you understand me?" Her eyes narrowed, the practiced calm now replaced with something darker. She began, then paused. "Discipline is necessary. She needs to learn respect. I was only trying to teach her. You know how delicate children can be." He shook his head slowly, voice rising with authority. "Respect is earned through guidance and love, not fear and violence. You hit a 9-year-old. You terrorized her. That stops today. Do you hear me?" A sharp intake of breath. She realized, perhaps too late, that the house no longer belonged to her alone. His fury radiated through the room, solid, undeniable. I won't hit her again," she said, though her eyes flashed with defiance. "But don't think you can control me. I won't be treated like a servant in my own home." "You are not my servant," he replied evenly. "But you are my wife, and this house is my home. I will protect my daughter above everything else. If you cannot respect her, then you will leave. You have a choice." The words hung in the air like a knife. She sat frozen, anger, fear, and calculation warring within her. For the first time, she realized that the quiet, composed husband she had underestimated was a force she could not manipulate. The daughter peeked around her father's legs, small eyes wide. She could see the tension radiating off her stepmother, and feel the weight of her father's protective presence. Her heart swelled with a mix of fear and hope. Hope that maybe, finally, things could change. The stepmother finally spoke, her voice low and dangerous. "You think this ends here? This house, this child? You can't shield her from everything. People get what they deserve." He met her gaze evenly. "Perhaps, but while she is under my care, no one will hurt her. That includes you." A long, tense silence filled the room. Outside, the city thrummed with life, oblivious to the storm raging within the walls of the mansion. She leaned back in her chair, calculating, realizing that she had been confronted by someone who would not bend. Finally, she rose abruptly, her heels clicking on the polished floor. "This isn't over," she said coldly, before sweeping out of the room with the faintest hint of menace lingering in the air. The father turned to his daughter, kneeling down so they were eye to eye. "See? You are safe," he said, his hand resting gently on her shoulder. "I will always fight for you. No one will make you feel that fear again in this house." The girl nodded, tears welling but mixed now with relief. "Thank you, Daddy," she whispered. He hugged her tightly, feeling a wave of determination wash over him. The battle might not be over. The stepmother's anger and cunning would linger. But for the first time, the balance of power had shifted. His daughter would no longer suffer in silence, and he would stand as the shield she so desperately needed. They walked together down the hall, father and daughter side by side. The mansion no longer just a house of wealth and appearance, but a home where courage, love, and protection had finally taken root. The following days were tense. Every morning, the girl woke with a shadow of fear, expecting punishment at any misstep. But instead, her father was there, sometimes hovering, sometimes quietly checking in, always protective. Her first small victory came during breakfast. The stepmother hovered, poised to criticize her for spilling a drop of juice. The girl took a deep breath and looked at her father, who gave her a subtle nod from across the table. Gathering courage, she said firmly, "I'm sorry. I'll clean it right away." The stepmother opened her mouth, but the father's gaze stopped her. "That's enough," she apologized. "Leave her be." For the first time, the girl realized that words and courage could protect her. She began to assert herself quietly, asking politely for her needs, completing chores without fear, and speaking up when the stepmother tried to corner her. Every time she succeeded, she felt a spark of empowerment. Her father noticed the change, smiling softly when he saw her confidence grow. He made time to talk, play, and share stories with her, helping her heal from fear and regain a sense of normal childhood joy. Yet, the stepmother's presence remained a silent threat. She lingered around the house, subtly testing boundaries, throwing thinly veiled comments meant to intimidate. But each time, the girl and her father stood united, reinforcing the safety and love she now had at home. One evening, the girl overheard her stepmother on the phone, her voice low and calculating. "Yes, he thinks he can control everything. But the girl, she's a problem. We need to make sure she learns her place. Soon, he'll see she can't be protected forever." The girl's stomach sank. Fear returned, sharper now, knowing the threat was not gone, only postponed. She ran to her father, whispering what she had heard. Her father's jaw tightened. "We'll be ready. She thinks she can outsmart us, but we're one step ahead. You just continue to be yourself. Nothing she does can hurt you while I'm here." The girl nodded, trusting him completely. Together, they began planning subtle ways to protect their home. He increased security, ensured she wasn't alone with the stepmother, and guided her on how to respond calmly if provoked. With the immediate danger managed, The father and daughter shared moments that stitched together trust and warmth. One afternoon, he helped her with a school project, laughing at her mistakes and celebrating her creativity. Later, they played a board game, her laughter echoing through the rooms, soft and genuine. For the first time in months, the girl felt like a normal child again, safe, loved, and valued. These moments were small victories, but they mattered. They reminded her that she had strength, and that she was never alone in facing challenges. Eventually, the stepmother tried a bold move. During a dinner party, she cornered the girl with a sharp remark meant to humiliate her in front of guests. But this time, the girl held her head high. "I've apologized for everything I've done," the girl said quietly but firmly. "There's nothing else to say." The room went silent. The stepmother's lips tightened, realizing the girl no longer feared her. The father's hand rested lightly on the girl's shoulder, a silent shield. That night, the stepmother left the house for a few days, and when she returned, the dynamic had changed. She realized that intimidation no longer worked. The father and daughter were a united front. Weeks later, the house was calmer. The girl's confidence blossomed, her laughter returned, and she felt safe navigating her home. The father remained vigilant, ensuring her protection without smothering her. The stepmother's anger lingered, but she had learned that her power had limits. The girl had grown stronger, resilient, and brave, not only surviving but reclaiming her space and voice. Father and daughter shared a quiet moment on the balcony, looking out over the city lights. "Daddy," she said softly, "thank you for believing in me, and for never leaving my side." He hugged her tightly. "Always, my little one, always." The mansion, once a place of fear, had become a home of courage, love, and protection. A place where the girl could finally be herself. The future was uncertain, yes, but together they were unstoppable.